What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Oh my gosh, it has been a while. I need to update you on everything that is happening, and today is going to be a Q&A. I put up on my Instagram stories, what questions do you have for me? And you guys sent through some fire questions. So we will be answering those, but first of all, I need to give you an update. Here in New Zealand, specifically in Auckland, where Ross and I live, we have been in a lockdown for well over 3 months now, and oh my gosh, I miss the gym, I miss travel. And it has not been necessarily easy, especially as we live in a very small 1-bedroom apartment. We share a desk to work side by side with one another, but I wanted to kind of talk about this and just, I guess, kind of somehow inspire anyone out there that is struggling. Despite being in lockdown, despite not being able to see family or travel, Ross and I have shown up for ourselves every single day. We literally have not missed a single workout, even though this means working out at home with minimal equipment. He does his workout, I do mine after, because we don't have enough equipment for both of us to, work out at the same time. We go for a walk every day, usually in the morning and then before lunch, just to get some movement in. And I just think that it's so easy for people to let little setbacks or life challenges take away from focusing on their health and fitness goals. But at the end of the day, our health and fitness really ties into every other area of our lives. I know personally that if I don't nourish my body and I don't move my body, I just am no good to anyone. So for myself, mentally and physically, it's best that I do aim to work out at least 5 to 6 times a week, that I make time to get outside walking in the fresh air, hopefully in the sunshine. It's been a little rainy the past few days, but I just really wanted to stress the fact that when times get tough, often people will kind of neglect their health and fitness goals, and usually it's the first thing you'll drop off, like working out, or you'll stop eating right. And that's kind of the time when you really need to be actually eating right so that you can sleep better, you can fuel your body through the busy times, and then working out has so many positive impacts as well. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest and let you know that despite being in lockdown, we are still slaying our goals as best as we can. We are definitely not motivated like 90% of the time, especially with our workouts, but we still do them. We really have built our discipline up to go for a walk, to do our workouts even when we don't feel like it. So if you're someone that's like, oh, you know what, I'm really struggling right now, this is your sign. Turn things around and get back on track. Start today with what you've got and go for it. Okay, let's jump into my Q&A. First up from Charlotte, some of your actions to stay consistent. And I think this is totally relevant to lockdown right now for us, but also for anyone out there looking to achieve any kind of goals. Consistency is the key. What we do consistently matters more than what we do every once in a while. But consistency for many people is one of the hardest things. A lot of us, when we start, say, a fitness journey, you go really, really hard at the start, and then you back off all your habits and you completely fall off track and go the other way. So this is what we want to avoid. We really want to work on our overall habits. If you are someone that really struggles with building healthy habits, I highly suggest the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It is one of my favorite books. I recommend it to everyone that joins the AMB-ANJULI Fit Squad because it enables you to set your environment up for success so that you can achieve your goals, whatever they are, whether it's fitness, business, relationship, and things like that. So in terms of some of my key actions that I use in order to stay consistent, I really like to set myself up for success in terms of my environment. So for example, if I'm on a comp prep, I'm not going to go out and buy big blocks of chocolate. It's just not going to help me achieve my goals. It's going to be harder to portion. If I do want chocolate, maybe I will pop down to the supermarket and buy a small bar, or maybe I'll buy a bag of mini bars which are already pre-portioned, so I don't have to worry about, accidentally eating a block of chocolate or something. So setting your environment up for success. If you know that there are certain foods that you really struggle with when it comes to portion control, you might choose not to buy those foods. So it's about, cleaning out your pantry, cleaning out your fridge, and making sure that it's aligned to your goal, say if your goal was fat loss. Now, in terms of other ways to help myself stay consistent, I also like to have a good routine in place. So we pretty much go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. I love starting my day with movement. So for example, if it's a rest day, I'll still go for a walk in the morning. On my training days, I start my day with a workout followed by a walk. So this is kind of known as habit stacking. You pick a habit that you're already doing, such as my workout, and then you add another habit to it. This is from the book Atomic Habits. So you know what, I will do my workout and then I've already got my shoes on, so then I go for a walk after that. It's all about making it as easy as possible to be consistent. It's really important to note that, you know, where you are right now and where you want to be, the difference between the two is your everyday habits. So it is really important to work on that overall consistency. How you be more consistent, you have a proper plan in place and you make it easy to follow it. So this is why I believe that the AMB-ANJULI Fit Squad are so successful with their goals. They don't have to think about what exercises to do for their workouts. They don't have to think about what they should eat each day if they don't want to. I give them their meal plans, I give them their training plans. All they have to do is, you know, cross their T's and dot their I's and the results will come. So really focus on the systems that you're doing each day instead of just the end goal. Your goal might be to lose fat, but if you don't have a proper plan in place and steps to follow to be consistent with, you're not going to get there. So key things: make sure your environment aligns with your goal, make sure that you have a proper plan in place that you can actually be consistent with, and 3, make it easy. It makes consistency so much easier. If you have a cheat meal, should you do more cardio or eat less calories for the rest of the day? So this is a really good question. First of all, I actually really don't like the term cheat meal. I think that this is super kind of old school. People used to always talk about, you know what, I work really hard Monday to Friday, so I have a cheat meal on the weekend. And I think that this sets people up for a negative relationship with food, because cheat kind of implies the idea of guilt. So it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to have this cheat meal, and then people often feel guilty that they ate that meal. So I personally like to track macros and calories. This means that if I want something, I make it fit within my calories for the day or for the week. So if you want to go out and eat in the weekend, I do have videos on tips on how to eat out and stay on track, but essentially it really comes down to your goals. For example, if I'm on a comp prep and I'm, say, 8 weeks out, I'm not going to go out and go crazy in the weekend. It just doesn't make sense for me, because I know what my goals are and that doesn't align with that. If your goal is just to maintain weight, you just want to have a healthy balance, then of course by all means you can go out in the weekends and eat what you want and just enjoy. But if your goal is fat loss, it's very different, because of course in order to lose weight we need to be in a caloric deficit. What this means is that if you're, you know, eating really well from Monday to Friday, but come the weekends it's kind of like a free for all, you could totally raise your weekly average up to either maintenance, if not a surplus, which would mean that you're either going to maintain the same weight from week to week despite working hard Monday to Friday, or alternatively, if you go really crazy in the weekends, then you might find that over time you actually end up gaining weight even though you're working hard Monday to Friday. And I totally feel you on how frustrating this is, because I've been there before. I know what it's like to work really hard Monday to Friday to, you know, quote mark, eat clean, and then go crazy on the weekends every single weekend and not get the results you want. So I suggest for anyone out there that wants to find that balance of fat loss as well as, you know, being able to eat out and enjoy a social life, is to really make sure that you get an understanding of nutrition. Once you understand what your caloric deficit needs to be, the calories in the foods that you're consuming, this means that you can make room to go out for a meal. For example, if I was going out for a meal on a Saturday night, I might decide to delay my first meal till lunchtime. So I might fast through the morning, or maybe I'll just have a light breakfast, medium-sized lunch, maybe a snack, and then go out for dinner. Just making sure that I'm saving room to be able to eat out. And I'll apply different tips, like, you know, maybe I'll look up the menu before and plan what I'm going to have when I go out. And the most important thing, like I said before, is consistency matters. It's what you do consistently more so than what you do every once in a while. So if it's your birthday, by all means go out and enjoy. It's not going to set you back. It's not going to take away from all the hard work you've put in. Where it really matters is if every single weekend you're going out and you're not, you know, taking into account the calories that you're consuming, your goal is fat loss, and you're just not getting the results that you want. It really comes down to that accountability and that self-reflection. If you had to rank the habits by most important, how would you prioritize? This is such a good question. I do feel like it kind of depends on your goals, but I would say the top habits for a healthy lifestyle and achieving your goals, whether your goal is to build muscle, lose fat, gain confidence, whatever it is, all go hand in hand. And those would be nutrition, exercise, Combining into exercise is movement across the week, such as a steps goal, water intake, sleep, and stress management. These things all go hand in hand. When we think of the most important kind of, I guess, habit to focus on in terms of fat loss, it's going to be nutrition. I've said it 100 times over. You cannot outwork your diet. I wish we could, but we just simply can't. So the key for fat loss, a caloric deficit. What is a caloric deficit? A caloric deficit, simply put, is eating less calories than your body requires to maintain weight. So for example, using whole numbers to make it easy, if you maintained weight at say 2,000 calories and you wanted to lose weight, so you start eating 1,500 calories. This is your caloric deficit, and if you ate that consistently across the week, across the month, you would lose weight. Now, when it comes to the other habits, they also go hand in hand with your nutrition, because even if your nutrition's on track, if you're not, moving your body, if you're not drinking enough water, if you're completely stressed out and you're not sleeping well enough, your hormones are going to be out of whack, and you might find that you end up not losing weight because your body's just reacting to all the stress. I can't really prioritize the other habits, but I can tell you that nutrition plays a massive role in all areas of your overall well-being, how we feel, our energy, our sleep, our performance in and outside of the gym. So I would say nutrition is the number one thing to focus on, especially if you're someone that is, overweight, you haven't worked out in a very long time. What we want to do is just start focusing on cleaning up the nutrition a little bit before we look into other areas. Other things to look at are your workouts. If your goal is to lose fat, we want to make sure that we are progressively training so that we can maintain, if not build, as much muscle as possible. What would happen if someone was to just go into a caloric deficit and not exercise is they might find that, they're overall losing weight on the scale, but they might not necessarily feel stronger, feel healthier, feel fitter, or look more toned. Looking toned comes from building muscle, and so in order to either build muscle or at least maintain the muscle that you have when shredding, what we really want to do is make sure that we are weight training. Of course, if you're in lockdown and you don't have any weights, you can get creative with using potatoes, cans of food, and you can do some progressive HIIT circuits. So with the AMB-ANJULI Fit Squad, you have the choice of fully equipped gym workouts, dumbbell only home workouts, or my HIIT circuits. And the HIIT circuits are progressive, but in order to build as much muscle as possible, we want to make sure that we have a range of different weights to progress and challenge ourselves further. The other habits I mentioned are things like water intake, stress management, sleep. These things all go hand in hand. Water has an important role in all areas of our overall well-being, including our skin, our energy, our fat loss, as well as I find that when I'm well hydrated, I'm more likely to stick to my nutrition. Sometimes I'll be thirsty and I think that I'm hungry, but I'm actually not. So make sure that you are drinking enough water. The recommended amount minimum for women is 2.7 liters, but of course that varies if you are more active. Speaking of being more active, we need to move our bodies. If you think of it this way, a 1 hour workout is only 4% of your day. What are you doing for the remaining 96% of the day? Most people are either, if they're in lockdown, staying at home working, or maybe you're commuting to and from work, you're sitting at a desk all day, you're maybe coming home, sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, you sit down to eat, and then you sleep. So a significant amount of time is spent sitting down and not actually moving. So setting a step goal, if your goal is overall well-being or, fat loss, is really important. There's a lot of research around the mortality rates and diseases and things based on people that are moving less than, 5,000 steps every single day. Our bodies are designed to move, so I highly suggest that you set a step goal. Just get some kind of a cheap fitness tracker and aim to hit over 5,000 steps a day. They do say that around 7,000 to 8,000 steps for women has shown to decrease some of the effects of, a sedentary lifestyle. And then in terms of a fat loss goal, if your goal is fat loss, honestly, I set the steps for the squad members at 10,000 steps a day. It's a great amount to aim for. It makes sure that you're really consciously moving your body, whether that means parking further away from the supermarket when you go to get your groceries or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Really set a step goal, hit it, stick to your nutrition, tick off your water, your sleep, and stress management, and you you will get results. Do you track on Myfitnesspal every single day? Yes, I do. This is just a personal kind of lifestyle choice. Ross and I both track on Myfitnesspal. We really love it because it enables us to achieve our goals whilst eating foods that we love. If I wasn't tracking on Myfitnesspal and I was kind of just trying to quote mark eat clean, I really don't like that term, then I would find that I wasn't always eating the foods that I love, and I think honestly I would have a worse relationship with food because I would label foods as good and bad, whereas now I just label them as, you know what, it's food, whether it's more micronutrient dense or less micronutrient dense. I make it fit into my macros and I enjoy what I eat every single day because of that. What do you do if you overeat? This is a great question. I think it depends on two things. One, the circumstances, and two, the goals. Everyone has different goals. If you overate because you're celebrating your birthday, you had, you know, a big engagement, or maybe it's a wedding or something like that, and you just want to enjoy yourself, by all means, go do it. It's very different to someone that is mindlessly snacking, sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, and not even really enjoying what they're eating. They're two complete different circumstances. So for the birthday situation or engagement situation, by all means, go and enjoy yourself. If you are someone that's just mindlessly eating, it's really important to be aware of those habits and put things in place to kind of prevent that from happening again, because continuously overeating is really going to take you away from achieving your goals, especially if your goal is something like fat loss. Now, the other thing that really matters is your goals. What are your goals? Because for me personally, if I was, say, on a competition prep, there's just no chance of me overeating. I just cannot overeat because you have a very specific goal to look a very specific way by a specific day. Now, that is very different to someone that just wants to live a happy, healthy, balanced lifestyle, okay? So for me personally, if I knew I had to have a meal out or I had something big during a comp prep, I would then have to change my week around that one specific meal. For example, if I know I'm going out and I need a few extra calories, I might lower my calories earlier in the week to make room for that, as opposed to someone that just wants to enjoy their birthday. You know what, they don't have anything specific coming up. Go and enjoy your birthday and get back on track straight after. That is the number one key. For anyone that overeats, regardless of the goals, regardless of, you know, whatever happened, it is to get back on track. Don't just let one meal turn into two, turn into a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, a month. How do you remain body positive when your body and weight changes daily and you see yourself looking in different ways? So in all honesty, like, our bodies are not designed to stay the exact same over the course of a lifetime. We go through so many different changes in our life, whether it's, you know, going through puberty, whether it's going traveling, going to university, having a baby, whatever it is. Our bodies are not designed to stay the same, and our weight is never going to be the exact same every single day. You could weigh in every day for a whole month, and I could almost guarantee you that you probably wouldn't have more than 2 to 3 days exactly the same weight in a row, if that. So if the scales are kind of determining your worth and how you feel about yourself, I highly suggest that you take the batteries out of the scale and put the scales out of sight, out of mind. Stay off them and focus on the things you can control, like your daily habits, the way you speak to yourself in your head. These things matter so much more than a scale. The scale is always going to fluctuate, especially around things like our cycles, because our hormones are fluctuating, and that can affect our weight, as can many different things, like weighing in after you had a big meal at night. Maybe you weigh in after a day where you were less busy the next day. Maybe you had a heavy workout and your body's inflamed. Our bodies will always change, and for those of you that feel really down when you know, look bloated at the end of the day, of course you're going to look more bloated at the end of the day after a full day of eating and drinking. I think it's super important to not compare yourself to those that you see online. Keep in mind that social media is a massive highlight reel. So the people that you see online don't even look like, you know, that in real life. So I think it's super important to be aware of that, and then also just be aware of how you're speaking to yourself, because it does matter. And I do truly believe that, you know, the things we say in our head are things that often we wouldn't say to someone we love. So speak to yourself as if you would to someone you love, because it does matter, and our body does hear everything that we say to it. So in terms of how I personally handle it, of course my body goes through so many different changes. If you followed me on Instagram over the past 7 years, you'll know that I went from university to traveling to competing 4 different times. and my body looked different all throughout that. And at the end of the day, like, I know that my worth is so much more than how I look. I help women all around the world feel more confident in their own skin. I am so much more than my external things. Like, I'm a nice person. I help people where I can. I'm passionate. I'm caring. I'm just so much more. And like, whether I am X amount of kilos doesn't determine whether I'm a, you know, better fiance, daughter, sister, friend, coach. So I do think it's really important to not place too much worth in the size of your clothes or the weight on the scale. Okay, last question, because I feel like I could talk all day long and I don't know how long you guys want my videos to be, but should I take protein shakes when I have a rest day? So I really want to talk about protein in general. Protein powder is a supplement. It's merely there to supplement your nutrition. Do you have to take protein shakes? No. If you are vegan or vegetarian, then yes, protein powder can help increase your protein intake without the additional fats and carbs, which can be beneficial, especially if your goal is fat loss, because we really want to make sure we're hitting our protein intake to help with satiety. We want to make sure that we are recovering effectively. We want to make sure that we are taking care of our bodies with our fats, protein, and carbs being at an adequate level for performance, for energy, for just getting through life. Do you need to take protein shakes at all? No, in general you don't, if you can get enough protein through the foods that you eat. Now, do you have to take protein on rest days? No. You don't have to take protein powder on rest days. But again, if you struggle to hit your protein intake through the food that you're consuming, then yes, by all means, you can definitely have protein powder on your rest days. I love to use protein powder in my oats. I use the Macro Mike one in them because, to be honest, it just makes it taste really nice and it tastes like a sweet treat. But I personally can get protein through the foods that I eat because I do eat meat-based, you know, foods. So that makes it easier for me. However, I do have some vegan clients that struggle to hit their protein whilst keeping their carbs down. And in that case, then I do recommend using a vegan protein powder to help get that protein intake up. It really depends on you and your goals and what kind of food sources you're eating. But in general, yes, you can have it on a rest day if you want to. That's kind of a lot of the questions that I got. I still had many more. If you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer as many as I can. If you did enjoy this video and you want me to do more Q&As, let me know in the comments because I'm more than happy to do so. I just want to help as many of you as I can. And of course, if you need any help, you know where to find me. Head along to fitwithanjulie.com, sign up today and we can get started working.